Okay, guys, just gonna give it a minute here for people to file in. You guys enjoy the great Waypod music. So much fun. Bottom of the left-hand side, there's a little double line. It's like a hamburger. In there, you can share the show out. You can broadcast it to the world, broadcast it to your followers here on Fireside. There's a link there that you can share out. So if you want to share right now while we're letting people come into the show, that would be cool. You guys can share it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And by the way, we do broadcast live, simulcast onto YouTube. My YouTube channel is Laughter After Trauma. Shocking. Ahead and get started here. See if I can get rid of that god awful music. Ooh, that music, it is rough. I want to just let you know right now. Okay, so welcome to the Laughter After Trauma show. My name is Deanna, and I am a speaker, educator, and coach. My mission here is to bring light and lightness to the heavy topic of trauma. My own personal journey as a thriver after IPV, which is intimate partner violence, has led me to be able to find the beauty and the laughter in the healing. And so that is what I am doing here on the show. I believe we're all magic and that we all have the ability to self-heal. And each week, what I'm doing here in the podcast or the show is just showcasing everyday people who have triumphed in the face of trauma. Now, today, my special guest here is Sheila, and we are working to create a regular segment in my show, which is going to help us to really have some hope, awareness, connection, and community, but also to provide really important tools that we can use and put into practical application. We used to do a show over on Fireside, and we're testing it out over. We're on Fireside on Clubhouse, and we're testing it out over here on Fireside. And so hopefully this will just become a regular segment on the last Tuesday of the month. So I am going to invite Sheila up. She is an energy worker, massage therapist, a life coach. She specializes in anxiety, and truthfully, she actually also loves to work with young adults. And so she has such a broad spectrum of knowledge and some specialized stuff in that energy field and energy work. And so I think together we just really make a good team. So I am going to, invite you up to camera, Sheila. Let's see if I can do this. All right. And you guys bear with me. Hey. Okay, and you guys bear with me because I'm working on 5G right now because my internet decided to do some wonkiness. And so anyway, so here we are. Hopefully everything works out okay. So Sheila, before we get started, since this is your first time on the show, I would love for you to like just tell us where you're from, introduce yourself, tell about your family, whatever you want to let us to know about
Oh,
yourself. Yeah, I feel like
favorite
maybe we should
color?
get to do that. Was that?
Favorite color? Your astrological sign? Your
That's
rising
right.
sign? Okay, so by the way, I put a fan on because it was getting a little warm. Is that disrupting your audio or are you okay?
I mean, I can hear it a little bit, but it sounds
Okay,
like it's
great.
oscillating, so it's fine.
Okay, well,
You do what
hopefully
you got
it'll
to do.
keep the noise away from. So I am a mother of three. I'm based in Chicago. Was born and raised in Chicago. And I was a mom for 10 years. Prior to that, I was a teacher, have a master's in education, always loved working with kids. And I decided to go in the healing arts after my last child, got out of the preschool years, and I became a massage therapist. And my youngest is 14. I have a 17-year-old, both girls, 14 and 17, a 20-year-old who is a rising junior. And yeah, I've been divorced now about 10 years, separated 2 years prior to that, went through a lot of tumultuous change in that 12-year period with my finances and my living situation, and of course my career. And as I delved into massage therapy, it became more than a physical practice. I started to realize that I liked working with energy. I have a background in cranial sacral, and so I started to merge the two a little bit in the sessions, and it blossomed into something a little bit more. And now I lean into the energy work during my sessions almost as much as the physical massage. And I do work with kids and teens. Um, I had I had a couple this week, and do some life coaching with teens. And that was the reason that Deanna and I got connected. Was we're both in the same life coaching network, and we were both visiting on a show on Clubhouse. And then I messaged her on the side about a year ago. I'm like, I really like your energy and I really like connecting with you. And I think we're like the perfect combination because I'm a little bit more introverted and Deanna's very, Deanna knows how to talk and ask questions. And so we pair nicely together, and we started the Tools for Trauma Room in Clubhouse weekly to, help guide people through, self-healing and in the areas of anxiety and depression, and addictions is a big one. Addictions is also another area that I enjoy helping people with. And now we're here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm so super glad that you're here because I think that trying to do this every week was getting a little bit overwhelming, but also I think this is going to help us sum up some of the stuff that we've discussed during this month. And this month was a little kooky. Last month I kind of went through and only had men because it was mental health awareness. And this month, I had a few different guests on the show just dealing with different just different areas, like living in a man's world. And my guest that talked about generational trauma and systemic racism, and he's an author and an Emmy award winner, and I don't know even how I managed to get him on the show, but I did. And and then I had somebody on last week about grief recovery, because she's become a specialist in grief recovery because of just the amount of loss that she's experienced. And so I think there's so many different things that I like to talk about on here. But I think the theme is that all these people have managed to find their laughter after the trauma that they have experienced. And I know I've experienced my own personally, and you have too. And I like coming together on this because we always have something to share that could be put into practical use. And a lot of times we base it on your newsletter. And so I'm going to see if I can't grab the link to your newsletter, because I can put that into that fortune cookie. It's fun, but everything on here is done in process. Like there's no pre-show prep that you can do. So I just got to do it all live. so, um, I'm gonna work
I
on
can do
that.
it. You
But
know what? I'll work on that for just a second. I'll take care of that while
yeah, I
you.
don't know. Tell me if you can adjust.
It looks
Can you
like I
edit that?
can. Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
can.
All right, good. And then you edit that, and I'm going to tell people a little bit about what we're talking about because that's perfect. So today, what we decided is we're going to kind of use this week's newsletter from Sheila to kind of be the theme of the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about the mid-year check-in and how that is something that's beneficial if you are working to manifest the life that you want. If you're trying to craft, design, and create the life of your dreams, how does that work into maybe having this mid-year check-in and being able to kind of take a look at how you've done so far this year and then how you can use the energies and those things to shift forward. And I thought what was really cool about this was that Sheila really put some real good examples into the newsletter. So you guys definitely should subscribe to her newsletter. As a matter of fact, I literally talked about this in my newsletter this week too, but you have such detail in here. It's so good. You're further along in your newsletter writing than I am, so maybe I'll get better. I'll get better at it.
I'm
But
verbose with my words when I
I'm
type, and you're
right.
verbose out loud, so we're connecting
Exactly.
that
I'm the
way.
talker. All right. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about this. Tell us what you were talking about and maybe walk us through what this is and how this works.
Okay, so the newsletter is really like a download every week. So when I'm in sessions with people in an actual energy or massage session, I channel and feel information while I work on them. And so the newsletter is very organic. So until I actually start writing, I don't even know what I'm writing. um, and I was feeling really blocked last night. I had about 80% of the newsletter done, and I just couldn't get this portion done. So I just, that's the thing about energy. You have to flow with it. You can't fight it if you're feeling blocked creatively or professionally. Sometimes you just have to wait until the time is right and trust it. And so I woke up this morning and I just started typing. And so it's like an energy forecast, essentially in the newsletter when I talk about, what my energy coaching topic is. And I knew that I wanted to do a mid-year check-in, but I didn't want it to be too life coachy or too, and I wanted it to be like a mix of energy work and life coaching. And so it hit me that we're in a new moon tonight.
Oh, good. It's
And
tonight. Okay.
yeah, and so that new moon energy kind of hit me real strongly this morning. And I someone a friend of mine had sent me a link to somebody else who had done a forecast for the week. And normally no one person influences my writing or my thinking, but it sort of like got the juices flowing. And she was talking about the new moon and manifesting. I'm like, that's it. Like that's what was, lodged in the back of my brain. And then once I listened to that, it sort of opened the floodgates and I started writing. Um, when we talk about like a check-in, I think, we can talk, but people really understand concrete examples. And so when I'm thinking I'm in the mid-year and I'm checking in, part of checking in is not just evaluating where you're at, but where you started. And so I started to go back and think about, well, how did I feel in January? How did I feel in February? How did I feel in March? And just walking myself mentally through each month, just lightly feeling the feelings that I had. How did I feel in January, thinking about where I would be in March? In January, where did I think I would be in June? When you do that, like you just think ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
then did I think I would feel like
Yeah.
this when I was in June? And of course, life throws us curveballs. And my mom, like very tragically and suddenly, passed away 3 months ago. it shifted a lot of, it shifted a lot of my intentions, and my goals had to be sidelined to, support the grief process. And so you and I talked a lot about the grief process in Clubhouse during those months,
Mhm.
early months, and I really appreciated that. So moving forward, now that we're at the end of June, I thought, okay, well, now I have a feeling about where I was the first half of the year. I get a sense generally of like what goals I hit, what goals I didn't hit. Hopefully, you know, you wrote down your goals at the beginning of the year, or at least, sketched a plan out. Now, when we get to July, it's like, okay, we're at the mid-year. Great. We're halfway through the year, but what does that really mean? Like, where do we go with that? And so what I did is in the check-in, so if you click on the link below, you can kind of follow along. It's checking in and then seeing where were your wins and where were your losses, and what was the overall theme in your losses. And so in the example I gave, this is a person who is very successful with, weight loss, meditating, detoxing, cutting out alcohol, staying in touch with friends, doing weekends with friends, sending happy mail out to friends, decluttering their house a little bit. But when you look at the first 6 months of this fictitious person, there's the pattern where they're doing really well with fitness and friends, but they're not really present with their family and they're not hitting their finance goals. So looking at that picture, I can see that in the next 6 months, that person would probably want to put more focus on their finance and their family. And so what I did is I created a few sentences for July through December that were I am affirmations, instead of just writing the goal out saying I am. So I am not going to eat out the month of July, for example.
Yeah. And something that I liked about this too. So we talked about this. I don't remember which show it was, but it was definitely this month, about how affirmations have no positive. They're not positive or negative. Every thought that you have or anything you say to yourself is an affirmation. You can affirm the good stuff or you can affirm the bad stuff. So you really have to be mindful and conscious of what you're deciding to affirm. And I like in the way you laid this out, you hit the high, the low, and the lesson, right? Like sometimes in our inner circles, this is a practice that we do where we go, what's your high, what's your low, and what was the lesson? And because the lesson is the way forward. And so I feel like that's exactly what you were doing here. But then also, you took it the next step, which was, okay, how do we shift that so that we learn from the lesson pragmatically, like into the next 6 months? Because I feel like it's important, right? Because you're always going to have to
Totally.
shift. You can't possibly see what life is going to throw at you. You can aim all you want, and that's something else. I think people misunderstand the point of a goal. A goal is not concrete. A goal is not the end. We look to a goal because we're trying to get to a certain place or build a certain thing, but the goal is an objective more than it is the end all. Nobody gets
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
nobody gets to the goal that they set out and go, oh, well, good, I accomplished that. I can stop,
So
right?
there's,
It's
mhm,
it's a stepping stone.
sure. Yeah, no. So there's two things I want to pull from that you just said that I want to highlight. There were like
Hmm.
really good golden nuggets, and takeaways from the whole evening. If there's like, two things to take away from this. And so the first is, the affirmations. That was a topic of all my energy coaching sessions today, was affirmations we think are positive, but they can be positive or negative. And so saying that, I can't, or I'm going to fail, or I'm not going to do well, or I shouldn't do this because this will happen. We don't realize how much we're programming ourselves for failure. And so affirmations are so powerful. And sometimes when I'm working with someone, I spend half the session just undoing the mindset, which leads to the second golden nugget, which is The part of the reason
right?
I pair together energy work and life coaching is because you can set a goal, and if you don't reach that goal, oftentimes we think maybe the goal was like too big, or we didn't set enough time, or maybe we needed more accountability. So we have the SMART format. But what we often don't think about is, do we actually have the energy to support that goal? So
Mm,
you kind of have to
mm,
build that reservoir of energy in your body to support the goals. It doesn't work the other way around. So it's when you say, yeah, the reaching the goal is not the objective, right? The objective is, did I have the energy to support that goal? And then when you want to reach the next goals, okay, now I have to go back and do the energy work to release the triggers, release the traumas, so I have the space to raise the level for the next set of goals I want to achieve. So we're done. That was awesome.
that's it. Bye, y'all. No. But I think that I love it. But I think that people don't recognize that this little exercise of reflecting, looking at your highs and your lows and your lessons over the past 6 months, and then readjusting. So, one of the things that I put into my newsletter was the 3 A's, and that is to acknowledge, then to assess, and then adjust. And that was the way I framed looking at the past 6 months and then shifting to where you want to move or how you're going to focus down into the next 6 months. And you know, it's and this is, I hate to be cliche because we always, you hear this, oh, it's about the journey, right? But truly, if you think about that in the actual literal sense, it is about being present every day as you move through life towards the what you're trying to build. It's acknowledging those little things, the good things, the bad things, the fun things. It's all these little pieces that when you get to reflect on them, you get to see, oh, you know what? Maybe I didn't get this or this, but look at this thing that came out of the pieces that worked. And you start to
Yeah.
actually recognize where you want to put your energy. Because sometimes we set a goal or we might make an objective to go towards something that we learn as we're moving through it in the journey that you're like, that is not really what matters to
Yeah.
me. And I figured
Right.
out now that the reason I said that was because I wanted this, not. So
Oh,
I've taken things off of my goals, or the things that I
mm-hmm.
set out at the beginning of the year, and look at
Mm-hmm.
them, and if they weren't front and center in the first 6 months, but I'm looking at all of the stuff that I wanted to work on, I've gone in there and looked at it and go, you know what? This doesn't even matter to me anymore. And it's only 6 months into the year. I thought it was going to matter to me, but it doesn't matter to me. And I got a lot of other things that have started shifting and spending energy on, like this show, that matters to me more.
Who would have
And
known?
right. And so I've shifted some of that energy and that stuff. This energizes me, right? I could do this and then I want to do it again. It gives me energy. And so I've shifted some of those other things
Right.
into doing this and trying to
Right.
get this built into a platform the way that I want it to be. So, because for me, this is like a passion project. This is where my heart is. I like talking. I like
Mm.
sharing. I like people's stories and experiences. I like creating community where people know that, you know what, we're more alike than we are different. Yeah, I've gone through something different than you've gone through. And then we have a bunch of people here in the audience. I'll call some people out. We have Mistress. I don't know her whole name. I'd have to click. Amy, Miyu, Sonia's here. Ron's here. Woody, our friend Woody. Reagan is here. That's my niece. And S. So I don't know S also. SG. Okay, good. Thank you. And so, these guys here, they are here and their energy is lending to this energy. My heart, my passion is in this. My passion is You know, I wish I could make $1 million doing this. Some people do it. I don't know. Right now, I'm just spending my time here because I think it's important for us to understand that regardless of how we've experienced the anxiety, the trauma, and
Hmm.
we don't escape it,
Hmm.
right? And nobody escapes it in life. Um, that no matter how we've experienced it, we are all connected in the sense that we really do fundamentally we want the same things, you know, and
Yeah.
just being aware of that and being able to share that in this space is I just I don't know, I like it. It's fun.
So one thing I want to acknowledge, and that was, like you beautifully shared, the difference between just doing something because it's a goal and I have to do this because it's on my list, and just saying, you know what, I'm going to do a reframe that doesn't feel like me anymore. I have, I've had some different things happen in my life. Things have shifted. Maybe you had to move. Maybe you lost your job suddenly. Maybe your parent died. Maybe there was just some, random event that just threw you off base, and you just have to reassess and pivot. And all of us have had to do that because of COVID. So that's a beautiful analogy of why you would, your 3 A's of why you acknowledge and just reassess. One thing that was mentioned in the newsletter that I do want to point out is in relation to energy and goal setting. Um, when we are in the midst of an energy shift, and we've had multiple shifts. We've had the retrograde. We have obviously this new moon right now. We've had a harvest, some kind of strawberry moon or harvest moon. We've had planetary shifts and eclipses and all sorts of things to shake us up and rattle us up. So how we manage through those shifts and how we react to our triggers, and do you, like, when you feel uncomfortable, do you numb with alcohol or other substances, or do you truly feel through it? Like, I was actually speaking with someone that I'm working with that actually felt through it instead of numbing it, just felt through the feelings and like let them pass through. That's growth. That is shifting up higher in the energies. And it's almost like riding a roller coaster when you are like, clank, 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 like the old fashioned roller coasters, and you get to the top, you can see out, you have the vision, you can see out through the entire theme park and beyond. You have that vision as you climb to the top, and then you get to enjoy as you go down a little bit, and the momentum just carries you because of all your hard work. The momentum carries you. And so for the people that have done the work from January through now, they have worked through their triggers, their traumas, their anxiety, their depression, the sadness, the curveballs. They're in a place where you can kind of take a breath, enjoy the view, enjoy the ride down a little bit before they have to go back up again. But for the people that have been kind of pushing back against the flow of energy and looking at the obstacles, the random pivots that had to happen as punitive, and just felt a victim instead of, this is happening for me, this is happening to me. Those types of obstacles are only going to amplify. And so it's going to become more difficult to
Right.
push through this latter half of the year. And so that's a real important kind of element in this whole fixture of like energy work and goal setting. Is like you really need to pay attention to the temperature of the energy. Like, where is the energy taking you today? How do you feel today? Because how you feel today is not how you're going to feel tomorrow. You could wake up feeling lousy today. Tomorrow you could wake up feeling awesome. I'm ready to take the world on, and it's like, what just happened? Why did my energy change so much? I don't know. Why does the weather change so much in one day? Why is it rainy and cold and tomorrow it's 80 and sunny? I don't know. It just happens. It's planetary evolution. We're all evolving, right? So these are some things you just, you have to keep in mind, I think, as you're doing this evaluation. If you can look back and see this pattern from January to now, that you're encountering the same obstacles and you're not hitting your goals, then maybe it's time to say, well, have I been fully embracing the change? Because change is not always a good thing when you're in it. It's always a good thing afterwards when you have that hindsight of 2020 and you can say, oh, I'm so glad that I lost my job, because if I hadn't lost my job, I wouldn't have gotten this new opportunity, There's a lot of
Right.
ways you can look at change, but if you don't flow with it a little bit, you're not going to get out to the other side. You're just going to stay kind of stuck in that tunnel. So I just wanted to share that.
Right. And I
But
like how you brought up in here. I no, along with that is like something you brought up in here is you either decide that you're going to learn the lesson, right? And go with that flow and move past and move through, like you said, the obstacle, or it's going to keep coming back until you learn the lesson. I mean, that's kind of how life, works, right? It just keeps presenting itself over and over again. It's kind of what you're even just attracting until you actually pull it and conscientiously or consciously realize it so that you're not fighting it, but you're going through it and get to the other side of it. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's the only way you can really
yeah,
grow. And
at the end of the year, so the end piece to all of this, and like the psychic intuitives in the room, I'm sure we have a whole bunch of you guys down there who are, I know for sure, into why things happen and where am I going, and having your sort of intuition about where your life is going, but not quite knowing where. It just know it's going somewhere, and it feels good. Is to work the timeline backwards. So in the newsletter, at the very end, after going month by month and doing the I am affirmations for this fictitious woman who is working on building her income, her reservoir for her savings, and having more time with her family. If it's okay, Deanna, I just wanted to just go into a little more detail on that. Do we have time for that?
go, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm. And wait, Sheila, before you get into it, you guys, after Sheila goes through this, I want you guys to be thinking if you have any questions or additions that you'd like to add. We'd love to have you up on stage and join the discussion.
oh, for sure.
Okay,
No,
go
for
ahead,
sure.
Sheila. I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is a woman. Remember, she was doing really well with her fitness goals. She was losing weight, doing detoxes. She was focusing, having girl time with her friends, but it appeared maybe she was a little negligent in the area of spending and finance and saving, and being present with her family. So if I were working with this woman and I saw how the first half of her year looked, and I wanted to look at the remaining rest of the year to help her manifest what she wasn't already manifesting, aside from her triggers and her traumas. Like, I'm just looking at the goals right now, assuming that all things are equal and there's no triggers around money or family. The July statements would be something like, I am not going to eat out the month of July. I'm going to pick out 2 new recipes each week and cook and bake with my kids every Sunday, and meal prep for the week. I'm going to download 1 new movie a week for us to watch instead of going to movie theaters. So you see how, and Deanna and I in our life coaching format, we're overlaying 2 areas so that for the month of July, she's working on finance and she's also working on family, but she's working on them together, because in not eating out is saving money, but cooking with her kids is a family activity. Not going out to movies is saving money, but downloading movies at home together, again, is a family activity and it saves money. So for August, moving forward now, assuming she's making some traction on that, I'm going to plan 1 hike, 1 family bike ride, and 1 trip to the beach with a food basket, so you don't spend money with the vendors at the beach. I am going to reach a savings goal of X amount from the money I saved not going out to see movies and eating out last month. I'm going to eat out only 2 times this month, so she gets a little reward, because you kind of need that. You can't deprive yourself wholeheartedly. I'm only going to eat out 2 times this month. I'm going to make a list of everything my kids need to start school. So August, again, you can see we're building off the success of July. She's starting to save money. She's building traction with her family, with her kids. They're doing some activities that don't cost any money outside, enjoying the weather. And now she's going to allow herself to eat out with them 2 times, just 2 times a month. So, again, you don't want to get overly drastic. Like, it's not realistic to think you would never eat out. But also transitioning the kids to the school year. That's really important to create safety and trust with her kids. So she needs to be present. She needs to think about what they need, just not just about, what she needs. So now we get to September, and she's saying, I'm going to make one extra mortgage payment with the money I saved from July and August. Remember, she's doing almost free activities with her kids, or very minimal, and they're not really eating out. I'm going to get ahead on winter prep and look for boots and jackets on sale for my kids, because remember, all the prices for the winter, assuming they live in a climate that has winter, thinking ahead about how things increase in value as we get further into that season. I'm going to declutter and start to prepare the house for fall. I'm going to make one slow cooker meal with my kids each week, because remember, the weather's now shifting a little bit to autumn, and I'm going to reach a savings goal of X. So now you see this trend, she's saving a little each month. She's now, with the savings, she's able to put it towards an extra mortgage payment, so she's not paying a lot in interest. And she's continuing the pattern of cooking, but changing with the seasons. Slow cooking is great to do in the fall, and those meals, they can get reused quickly, easily, because they're already in the slow cooker, so the kids can, come home to a warm meal. All right, so now we're in October. I'm going to reach a savings goal of X this month. So she's still keeping in mind that from July to December, she wants to be building that savings, paying off that mortgage. I'm going to create a budget or gift list for the kids and do something homemade for friends for the holiday season, because October is where you start to really kick into that holiday spirit, that holiday fever. We start spending a little more than we should, so we want to put a cap on that right away. I'm going to play a game or puzzle each weekend with the kids. Again, we're doing things with the kids that don't cost money. At the same time, creating a budget for the kids for the holidays sets an expectation that you're going to get a gift, but there is, some limits on how much I'm going to spend. And I, meaning this woman, I'm not going to, I'm just only going to spend money on my kids. I'll just do something homemade for my friends. So that way you're still giving, but you're not over giving according to your budget. Okay, so finally we get to November and December. So I'm going to make one extra mortgage payment. So now she already made one. So this is her second extra mortgage payment with the money I saved from September and October. Remember, because she's not really eating out. She's doing the movies at home. She's playing games and puzzles. So she's saving money on a lot of entertainment. I'm going to make sure to stick to my budget of X amount per kid while holiday shopping. That's a big one. That's a big one, because that gets really out of hand in November. I'm continuing to meal plan with the kids and cook each Sunday. So now she's creating a habit. It wasn't just a goal. Now it's a habit, because she's been doing it since August. I'm having genuine conversations 4 to 6 times a week at meal times with my kids, because if you looked at her goals from January until June, she wasn't having quality time with kids at the meal times. Okay, finally, December. December is really an end of the year reflection. So it's a culmination. So this is the most important piece. This is where, she's sitting here in December. I'm finishing the year with X amount on my savings account. I'm feeling close and connected to my kids. I'm making healthy meals. I'm being responsible with my money. I'm creative with finding fun things to do that don't involve spending a lot of money. I'm safe and secure with my finances and family. That last sentence, I am safe and secure with my finances and family. That is the feeling I would take her into if she were with me in a session. I would say, now that is taking the timeline and moving it backwards. So we're flashing forward to December. We're seeing where we are in December, what that feels like. What are the feelings? If it's saving money, imagine how much money is in your bank account. If it's making sure all your kids have ample gifts but not overspending, imagine seeing them with gifts that didn't cost a lot of money and how happy they are. If it's being more connected to your family, imagine just how you're easily spending time together and how easily entertained you are by the smallest things in your household, how you have these wonderful inside jokes because you've been watching shows together and playing games together, and feel that, feel what it feels like, where you feel it. And that's what's going to get you successful. It's feeling it, playing that timing out, feeling it like it's happening now, envisioning it. And then that's really the secret to manifestation. It really works. It really works.
And the thing that I like about this is there's so many layers that you can add into this when you're working, whether you're working this on your own, like just literally tapping into a vision of what that's going to look like, but also what it's going to feel like you said, you smell it, whatever it is. But there's so many layers of that too, because when it just in the sentence that you put at the end, I'm safe and secure in my finances and my family, is sums up the relief, the less stress and the less anxiety that you had around these issues that you set out to fix, to get into control, to make it manageable, however it was. Just the alleviation of that stress and that anxiety around it brings everything down a notch into a place of peace, and allowing you to have that peace then also radiates out into the impact and the way that looks for your family and how you interact with your family and your friends and all of that. And the second part of that is, not only did you manifest this, or when you envision it, you can feel all of this, but also when you get to that place, you recognize, and your people around you that have been with you for the last 6 months, they get to see this. They get to recognize that you've made this decision, and you've conducted it with integrity to
Exactly.
yourself. But not only that, that if it's involving your kids, think of the lesson they learn, because they don't learn about the things when we talk to them. But if they see this and they experience this with you, you guys are probably, like in this situation, this person definitely would be more connected with her kids. I know when we were growing up, I was way more connected on game nights, than ever going outside and doing anything. The money wasn't the issue, you know the connection was there. The fact that we gathered around a table, and even though we knew we were inside a certain limits, that we did not miss out on anything. As a matter of fact, we were stronger because of it. And I think
Yeah.
that that's an amazing lesson to teach your children, because then they don't feel the pressure of, like you said, like say the holidays, they don't feel that pressure of, hey, I got to go in debt for this. You know, they're going to
Yeah,
go
just
into
like
adult,
turn off
you
your
know,
TVs and turn off your social media from like
right,
October to January, right? Because
right.
we're just so busy comparing like what other people do, and it's not realistic.
And
And
it doesn't,
everybody's in debt in January.
right, and it doesn't matter. And that was my next thing is, and then after all of the holidays have passed and you turn the month into the new year, you go into that new year already ahead, because look at how you
Exactly.
chose to handle. So it just is I like the way you laid the scenario out. It's really cool. And the quote I love too, there's a quote, Henry Ford, who said, you think you can or you think you can't, neither way you're right. And
Ah, I like that
right. So
one.
it's really all about your mindset
Yeah.
and what you choose, where you choose to put your energy. And I think I think that's the biggest lesson out of any of this. Um, I'd like, you guys to come up on stage if anybody has questions they would like to ask, or any thing that you would like to add. We have a few coaches here in the audience. Would love to hear from you, as far as anything you would add to this, any additional recommendations in regards to this. Um, the other thing, there was something else. Oh, it just popped in my head and now I lost it. While I was saying that, I was going to say something else. Anyway, um, oh, I know what it was. I put into here, along with Sheila's newsletter. July 5th, I am starting a 21-day mirror work challenge. And that is something that, if you've never really come to terms with understanding your own value and making sure that you you know, until you know that you have the value and the worth to invest in yourself, manifesting things is difficult because you don't believe enough in you, right? So, one of the very first things that I think we need to approach is, hey, let's just take a look at ourselves and say, you know what? It's okay. I can give myself grace. I love myself. But even more importantly, I like myself. Because sometimes we can go, okay, yeah, I love myself. But it's not always as easy to say that you like yourself. So, anyway, so the 21-day mirror work challenge, that what's going to happen in there is it's 21 days, $21, and all you're going to be doing every day is I get up every morning at 7:30. I'm going to actually do the mirror work live, so God only knows what kind of mess that's going to be. I've done this a lot before. I've done this a lot before. So probably the first week is going to be okay. But by the time we move into the second and third week, it might get a little emotional because the first time I ever did this, I mean, and, you know, tell myself that I love myself in the mirror, you know, I cried. I mean, it was not easy, you know. And you're looking yourself in the eye, and those mirror neurons are playing back to you. And it's deep. It's kind of deep inner work, but you know you're worth it, and it's just minutes. It's just 1 or 2 minutes in the morning, and then you'll repeat this throughout the day. Anytime you see a mirror, every time you go to the bathroom, you'll repeat it, right? And these are affirmations that you want to keep, right? That you want to say. So that is something I would encourage everybody to do. Then there'll be a little journaling prompt, and then at the end of the day, a meditation that's audible. It'll just be an audio meditation at the end, and basically I'm going to do that in the group for 21 days, guide you through it, and hopefully you'll see some changes, transformation, learn something about yourself, whatever, all kinds of things. It's based on Louise Hay's book, Mirror Work. So if you guys want the book, you can go grab the book. All right. So anybody want to jump up on stage and talk with us? You know, usually Reagan will come up here and talk, Amy, Sonia, SG. I don't know your name. I'm so sorry. You should jump up and at least introduce yourself so I know your name. I feel like I shouldn't call you S. And Brian, hey Brian, you come on up. My friend Brian here from Clubhouse, and now he's over here. How you doing, Brian?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Did you have a question or
Good.
something to add? I know you kind of came in a little bit late.
Well, first I will say that I do know who SG is. I've been in many rooms with her on Clubhouse. She hosts a room called the Confidence Corner, where
Sweet.
we talk about being confident in our own skin and staying true to ourselves and what we believe in and that and all of that. So SG is her initials. So
Okay.
that's yeah. So
All right.
she prefers to be called that, but
Okay.
her first name is Sarah. So
Okay. SG.
um,
Sarah SG. Okay. Good. I want her to come up so she can chat with us. I'm not going to make her. Maybe she knows. If you guys want to come up,
she
there's a
might
little
not be.
plus. Yeah, she might not be in a place where she can come up. That's fine. No, I'm not putting anybody on the spot. There's a little plus sign up here where it says speakers. If anybody wants to come up on stage and add to the conversation, you can hit the plus sign and we'll accept accept you up here on the stage if you want to chat. You can also ask to come up in the little hamburger on the bottom left as well. So there's two ways to pull yourself up onto stage. Anything else, Brian? Did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean it is cool to laughter after trauma. It's cool to laugh after everything that you may have been through in your life. And for me, um, my tools have been being on audio apps, and then of course this Fireside app, which is a mix of audio and video,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps along with prayer and just talking about it with people. So it's nice to be able to say that that the the name calling and being made fun of at times as a kid, especially before high school, is now I could just kind of like, you know, yeah. I mean, I there's an emotional part, but there's also the laughter part at the end because like I've come so far since then, and I've helped really shine the light on autism and and brought light to that, not just only with how I live it, but how others do, and to know that it's not the end, and I've my parents have learned a lot from me, and what I will accept and what I will not in terms of certain actions, and you know, just yeah, just
Yeah,
life.
right. And I think that it's beautiful that you're able to advocate and share, so that people in the community that relate to you, and what you go through, know that they're not alone. I think that's one of the biggest things I like about doing the show Laughter After Trauma is just sharing the fact that we are not alone, and that the things that we go through, um, even though we don't all have the same story, that we can be here for one another. We long for connection, and I think that you get that here on, like you said, on these apps. Sometimes that's where you find it, and it's pretty amazing. It's one of the pluses of social media. So, Sonia, we have you up here if you want to unmute and add to, or whatever interjection you wanted to add. Hey.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me up, Sheila. My little sneaky Pete, you are.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, first of all, I just want to thank both of you for just showing up time after time on this particular room. Coming from an alcoholic home, I certainly have had my share of trauma as well. And it is true that, in the beginning, we don't see a whole lot of laughter, a whole lot of humor. But as we go through the process of really becoming who we really are, who we're meant to become, through growth, spiritual growth, whether it's energy work, working with a therapist, or working with, coaches, it really is about accepting yourself and accepting what had happened to you, but not taking the responsibility for it. And I think that once I was told that I was not responsible, even though my head knew that, I had a hard time believing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once you fully accept that you're not responsible, then I think that is when we're able to start laughing at what we have been through. And I found that even going through, the therapy sessions I did, I was able to laugh a lot sooner than I had ever dreamed. And then to come across so many people, and thank goodness for technology and the interest in coaching and people becoming coaches, introduced to a group of people who maybe we didn't have the same trauma, but we get it. We understand it. And I went out and I have my book, Deanna, to start on the mirror work. And
Good.
and being able to be open that when you have a fellow coach or coaches who you really admire, and who inspire me as a coach, and they say to you, Sonia, maybe you should do this because, well, I'm not telling you you need it, but maybe you do in a way, it's like being open.
I think I kind of said you need to.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't really gonna pull you on the carpet there, but she did. She did. And so, just being open to the fact that just because I've been coaching, for some time, the laughter after trauma is still a spiritual and personal growth throughout the years. It just simply doesn't stop. And I that's one thing I really share with my people who I coach is there's two things you are going to happen. One, you're going to survive this. Two, you will see laughter in this, and we're going to do that in our sessions, together. And three, this is a life journey now for you to make sure, because this crap sneaks up on us again. When we least expect it, especially if we go through another trauma of some sort. So I just really appreciate you guys being here, and I just want to let everyone else know who might be in the audience, we get it, as coaches. Deanne and Sheila really get it, and they're not afraid to share their stories. And I think that that's where the power of community is in sharing our stories with each other. And then we get stronger, and we can go out and share our stories even on a broader base. So thanks for having me up here, and I think that's about all I want to say.
Well, thanks for accepting, Sonia, and jumping up here with us, because I always love what you have to share. And, Sonia is in one of the inner circles that we have. And when I was talking about this in there, I was just like, just in sharing with each other. And I was just like, no, this is definitely something that would benefit you. And I wouldn't make somebody do something that wouldn't benefit them. But I mean, I do really feel like this mirror work challenge is something that is just such good inner work and self work. And you just don't know it until you do it. It's just one of those things. You gotta trust the process. I hate that. But especially if you're somebody who likes to really have control over things, trust the process. Frankie. Hey.
Hey,
Talking
hey,
to you
hey,
for like the
Bombs,
third time today. How
Yeah.
you doing?
I'm doing great. I obviously talked with you through the back channel.
Uh-oh. He just left the stage. What happened there, Frankie? We lost you.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, maybe
I have no idea.
maybe
It could have been. It wouldn't be the first time I got kicked in the butt by a woman. Anyways,
Oops. I thought it was
I
my
get.
connection, but anyway.
Yeah, that's what they said too. My what am I doing?
This
What
man.
am I saying?
Well, talk about
Yeah, I'm
laughter.
not funny, but people laugh at me. So obviously, a little bit about my take on trauma is, as far as trauma's trauma, right? And it's not a competition, because I think anybody that's experienced trauma, we all have the same thing in common. We understand each other. We understand the significance of what trauma does to us, mentally, physically, both, whatever. And that's where, it could be a very simple solution, is all agree that trauma is trauma, get together and come up with a way to defeat it, like you're doing. Laughter after trauma, which is a good deal, because laughing is therapy. That's why I enjoy laughing so much, and having fun, and people making jokes, even if the jokes are on me, in a respectful way, of course. But when I laugh, I feel good. And when I feel good, I don't think of the bad things. So I just wanted to kind of come up and throw my 2 cents in. I, came in late. I got tied up on another phone call, but I just believe trauma is trauma. It's not a contest. It's a journey that we can all join hands and take together, and find ways to make ourselves get better, and along the way have a little fun doing it, because laughing is therapy, and it's fun on top of it. So I don't want to take up too much more of the time. I appreciate you having me up, and allowing me to kind of talk for a moment, and I'll jump off stage and see what you ladies have to say in response to that.
Well, first of
Hey,
all,
first, wait, I apologize because I think I clicked on your profile. There was like all these little circles on the stage, and I may have done that. But your response was
it's fine.
so funny.
Well, it's fine. Frankie, we were talking today, and you can click in a fortune cookie on the one that says CK Archive. That is the newsletter that kind of this was based on, that Sheila's newsletter. And we were really just talking today just about reflecting on the first 6 months and how we're going to move through the second 6 months, how energy and flow works into that. And so I think you'll love the newsletter. So just go grab it and you can read up on it. And of course, you can always watch the replay. There's that. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up here. My daughter just walked in, and we're going to go spend some time together late at night because it's 9:00. Don't ask me what's going on around here, but but that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to wrap up here. Sheila, is there anything like 1 or 2 points that you want to drive home, or is there anything else that you had to say on anything that we discussed?
Just what we said in the very beginning. I think 20 minutes into the hour, if you have a goal and you're not reaching it, work the energy, make space for the goal to happen. And we had another golden nugget. I don't remember what the other one was. It was about 40 minutes ago. My brain was shot. But you know what? Honestly, I just, this. Oh, okay. So that was one. And then the other golden nugget was affirmations can be positive and negative. So just watch which voice is talking in your head, because sometimes you don't realize. I always say the body, you're like a robot, and you bring in the programming. And so our subconscious, it works that programming, and it's going all day long. And then on the surface, our ego is doing all this other talking, and that's feeding the subconscious, which is giving the robot all its actions, and it's bringing in the energies to support those actions. So, just watch the self-talk. And sometimes it's not even you, it's the people that you're around. So if you find yourself around people who are constantly complaining about their lives or so unhappy, all these bad things happen to me, you don't want them to start affecting your pool of energy as well. So you can always help them reframe and just say, hey, let's keep it positive. You're going to do great. Things are going to go really well. And if after a while, it's to keep, I love that. After a while, if that keeps happening, maybe it's time to kind of cut the cord and move on and make some new friends. But it's the self-talk. The affirmations are huge. So keeping your goals from July to December in the form of I am statements, and then just making sure you work through the energies. And if you get pulled back and you have a little setback or something happens, you lose, gosh forbid you lose a family member, or you lose your job, or you have to move, or your financial situation changes, just work with it, because it's coming up for a reason, and there's probably something better coming for you down the pipeline.
I love it. Everything is happening for you, not to you. So I love it. All right. Well, good. Then we're going to wrap up here. I like to say that I see you and you are beautiful. I believe that about you, Sheila, and I believe that about everybody here. And, till next time.
Who's laughing about that?
I know,
Who's
Frankie?
laughing about that?
That's not a funny thing. That's a real thing. But anyway, so
we're gonna
and and until next time, everybody, I can't wait to see you back here next week. I don't know who I even have lined up, because I have 2 people that are on the fence, so we're debating on who's going first. So we'll see, but I'll have some guests lined up for you next month. And then Sheila and I will be back at the last Tuesday of the month to kind of just go through another practical tool that we can put to use to help overcome anxiety, stress, trauma, whatever it is that you got going on. Okay. So until next time, shine on. Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate you coming. I'm going to take us off of screen and get this crazy music guy up here so we can pull ourselves out of the show. It's a process, people.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my video. Thanks, Stephanie.
All right.